Welcome to Roundy's Rants, Raves, and Reviews. Today we are so excited to have with us a dear author friend of mine and someone who has been an inspiration to me. I have looked up to, spent a lot of time with, and I want you guys to be introduced to her. So please welcome Wendy Hooten with us. And Wendy, will you tell us about who you are and what you do?
Hi, well, gosh, Tanya, I'm flattered that you look up to me because I look up to you and all of the things that you're doing. But that's just part of the author world where we get to connect and see all the amazing things that
People. Yeah.
each of us are doing. So I'm Wendy Hooten. I wrote a book about my journey with my son who has Down syndrome and tried to put some humor into the book because our life is crazy, crazy. And as a result, I've been doing some speaking to our book, to the Down syndrome community, to educate others on Down syndrome. So it's just kind of spiraled into this whole new world of awesomeness.
This whole world of awesomeness, busy awesomeness
Yeah. Yeah.
that's going on. That gets me into right there. What is it that you like to talk about? What is it your thing is, and it even goes into your book of like why you wrote it. So just tell us a little bit about your world. Yeah.
So it's interesting. All of the things I've talked about have varied from anything from being just a mom to educating on the Down syndrome diagnosis, what it is, and then our journey. So I actually like to talk about all of it. So it's been fun to have all of those opportunities. Basically, it right around the time of the pandemic, I had been at a job for many, many years. And I had been on social media that day and saw some posts from new parents who were sharing their heart and soul about how they had just had babies and were having a hard time with the diagnosis. And it hit me that while so many things had changed since I had my baby, the thing that hadn't changed are those emotions that can come with that diagnosis. It wasn't long after that I heard this voice help them. And it was so clear that I thought someone was standing behind me, my husband. And I turned around and he wasn't there. So I was like, okay, crazy. Help them what? And then it hit me, share my story, help these new parents be a glimpse into their future so that they can see that those emotions are valid, but it doesn't have to be a world to be afraid of. I clearly understand the fear that they were faced with, and I still deal with fear sometimes, I mean, as any parent does, I would imagine. But our life, I've just lived it one day at a time, and it's been crazy. It's been fun. And, what I did is I just shared stories of circumstances we were put in and how we worked through them. And come to find out, there are circumstances that every parent is faced with. So, yeah.
I related to quite a bit in there. I was like, oh, okay, this is just normal kids. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what's going on. They're gonna still be a
Yeah.
kid and it's just
Yeah.
gonna be a thing. What was it like to get that diagnosis then? What was it that people are usually told, and how does that affect them through that? And what's it like to try and work through that kind of situation?
So that's one thing I'm loving to speak to right now is that the medical professionals don't understand that everything they say to us has a lasting impact. And
Mhm.
so some people have a good experience, some people not so good. Fortunately for me, it was a surprise, but it was also 1990. So back then, what was the information that was available and what I had been exposed to was scary and very little. So what I knew just terrified me. But it was a good thing for my young heart and my young mind that my doctor shared his thoughts with me, my husband at that time. He really gave us a beautiful little speech. And it took our emotions from those first 8 hours until we saw him because he didn't know. He was surprised when he came into my room the next day and saw us all crying. So he didn't know. And then he was able to turn that moment around and into a beautiful moment for us.
Mhm.
And it was a lasting, it was a lasting impression. And by the time I left the hospital, I was just determined, with my baby, nobody's going to tell us what we can and can't do. And nobody's going to ever see his life as not having no value. So I had that experience, fortunately. The pediatrician who told us carried him into us very lovingly. She didn't will him in and say, hey, by the way, your baby has Down syndrome. I'm so sorry.
Goodbye.
Yeah. She carried him in, and all she did was talk about how beautiful our baby was. And she saw him as a baby and not a diagnosis. So those two experiences for me were beautiful and experiences I will cherish forever. And I have tried to find these two individuals to tell them just what the impact they had on me, especially after hearing a lot of the stories where those first words are, I'm sorry, or your baby has Down syndrome. You might want to consider putting them in a home or whatever. There's a lot of stories out there that aren't as beautiful as mine. So I did have some people who, like, I did have somebody come into my room and tell me, if you don't want your baby, there are families out there who want babies like these. So you can put him up for adoption and don't have to feel bad about it. So I did have somebody do that to me. But overall, my experience really helped my young mind and my young heart for my future.
It's incredible to me that still in this day and age, as much as we know and as much as science has progressed, I mean, even when in the 90s when you were having your son, that it was we'd made so much progress and gotten rid of all these asylum homes, stuff like this, that people still talk like that,
Yeah.
that there's still so much of this stigma and this idea that somehow we wouldn't want them and that there would be this fulfilling life and to see them as a child. But no, it's Down syndrome, especially now because we can see it earlier, right? They can do those blood tests and all
Hmm.
the ultrasounds. Like you can find out and carry the whole pregnancy and to be afraid that whole time, I can imagine it's just unbelievably hard and difficult. I mean, just having my son born with a heart problem and being told, oh, by the way, he's going to need open heart surgery probably. And then I'm like, I mean, that was hard enough. I can't
Yeah.
imagine that all of this other just on top of that. So you got into writing your book to help them. How was that process for you? How was choosing which stories and trying to find the humor and balance that? What was that process like for you?
I want to answer that question, but I want to go back really quick and just touch on one thing.
Yeah.
The one thing that I know, being a glimpse into the future, is what this life has been like. And yes, it's been hard, but who doesn't have their hard? We all have something hard in our lives.
Absolutely.
The thing that I'm speaking to right now, too, is, we're all just a moment away of a life changing situation. So
Absolutely.
you could have a baby who has nothing, no diagnosis, and they get hit by a car or they fall off their bike or, whatever. Anything can happen to that
Mm.
child the minute they step out the door.
Yeah,
And so we're all just a minute away, a moment away of our life changing. And so what I'm really passionate about is just saying, if you're afraid of what this future holds for this child, just keep in mind that you could have had a child that had nothing wrong with it. And who knows what their future has in
right.
store for them.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing that I'm just trying to speak to right now to anybody who doesn't see the value in these individuals is that there's no guarantee. I mean, I could fall off my porch tonight and I'm in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, you know.
Right.
So knock on wood, but we just don't know. So anyway, you had triggered that memory for me.
I
So
love it. No, that's incredibly good. I mean, that's for everyone and anyone. It doesn't matter our situations. Everyone's got
yeah,
their life trials, and you're right. Tomorrow could be, 2 minutes from now could be life altering. And
exactly, exactly. So to answer your question, as Matt was putting me in these circumstances, I started blogging because I would go to work and I would tell people what he did and we would just laugh. It was our lunch hour banter. And so I started writing about him with the intention of writing a blog.
Mhm.
And back then I did start a blog, but blogs take consistency and writing a book doesn't.
Get it done and out there, and then we have to be consistent
Yeah.
afterwards.
I mean, 2 years of blood, sweat, and tears went into my book,
Right,
but
exactly.
there was
Yeah.
no consistency at
That's
all.
none at all. No.
Yeah. But what I wanted to do was, like I said, focus on the humor. So every circumstance that we were in, I just tried to put a funny spin on it or share how I found the humor later. The writing process, some of it was difficult because I was authentic. I wanted to be relatable to any parents who read it. And so I did share some of my hard stuff. So I've got a few chapters in there, but basically, overall, it's just a book where every chapter is a story. And initially, I was just wanting you to be able to, if you have a minute to read, pick it up and open to a chapter and be able to read that chapter, laugh, and then go about your business. But that's kind of the process. It took me about 2 years, even though a lot of the stories had been blogged or written, not blogged, because I didn't really actually go through with the blog.
Right.
But I didn't know the first thing about writing a book. I just had no idea. So I had to go to, get my mentors and I did do some online courses because I wanted my reader to read my book and not want to put it down.
Right.
So I had to learn how to write like that. I'd always loved writing. I always did better in writing in school. And, I had teachers comment that I even found something while I was writing
Oh,
the
yeah.
book from a fifth grade teacher who said she could see me writing a book one day.
Look at
So
you.
yeah, so that was really cool to run across that. But so I'd always enjoyed it. I just didn't have the details of, the whole show not tell and the smells and the senses and just everything that's needed to grab your reader's attention. So I had fun just putting those details into every chapter and some of them were hard, but
I know how that goes.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, of course. Oh my goodness. There's a reason you hand out tissues with your book.
there is. Even for me, I'm like, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love that you were talking about that. That actually brings me to it's like, what influenced you to become to become a writer, or your writing? Who did you read? Who did you like to get influenced by as far as writing and reading is concerned? And was there an inspiration to you in becoming a writer?
So I loved to read when I was younger. And then when I got married, for whatever reason, I didn't have time for it anymore. But I read all the time when I was younger. Then I've always loved to write just little, just little short stories and poems. I love to write poems. And so at the company I worked for, anytime anyone was celebrating a work anniversary, I would write them a poem
Oh,
to read at their presentation. And I've just always loved to write like that. My writing has always been more nonfiction, real life stuff.
mhm.
Um, Fiction is hard for me, but I'm working on something right now and I'm loving the challenge and the creativity. But as far as I'm the person who will read anything,
Mhm.
I love the nonfiction stuff. I love hearing about other people's stories. And then I love, of course, I read a lot of Danielle Steele way back in the day.
Right.
Stephen King, put both of those two in the same sentence, Stephen King and
And
Danielle
Daniel
Steele.
Steele. There you go.
Judith McKnight, is that?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yep.
her. And oh my gosh, the one that wrote The Box. I just found her a few years ago and I love her. But so I like every genre. And
Mhm.
being an author, and now, that I know a lot of authors and they all write different styles,
Mhm.
I find I love everything.
Mhm.
So
Immersing
yeah,
yourself in all of this
yeah,
world. That's what I've
yeah,
enjoyed too. Is you get sometimes when you're younger, you get stuck in that niche of I read this and I read this. My students are the same way. I like this, and I'm not going to
yeah,
try anything else.
yeah,
And I'm like, but try it. I feel like a mom. Just try your green beans. Just try the broccoli. You'll be
yeah,
okay. I
yeah,
promise it'll be good.
yes,
Um, but yeah, no, I don't get to read a lot because I'm so limited in time, but man, being part of the author group has been so great because I'm like, I get a book and I'm like, I just get to read it. It's been so fun to be part of that. You mentioned your one teacher. Was there other teachers or people who maybe inspired you or helped you to discover, or your mentors that as you were getting started into writing, who maybe helped you the most through this process?
Actually, I'm going to say it's probably the people that I wrote for,
Okay.
those
Yeah.
poems or the little stories that I would write for them,
Hmm.
jotting down notes about things I noticed about their families or about them. I would write my son's teachers little, um, I don't know what you want to call them because they weren't your typical poem. I,
Hmm.
but just little creative. I love to be creative. I'm a creative.
Hmm.
So, and I can't just say thank you so much for being a great teacher.
Right.
I had to think about things that they had done or things that my family had done or friends had done and then put it into a poetic form.
Right.
So, and then everyone would be like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good. You should write a book." Or your posts on social media, you should write a book. Okay, hey, I'll write a book. Well, there's a lot more that goes into an 80,000 word book versus 100 word
Little
post
poems.
or
Yeah.
poem. Yeah,
You could probably make a short little novelette out of all of those though now
yeah,
and create a thing. I would love to see all those like Wendy's wisdom in a little book,
yeah,
stuff like that within it.
yeah. And then whenever I had a birthday, I gave an assignment,
Oh.
like a giving back kind of
Mhm.
birthday. And my assignments always came in some kind of story form. So
My teachers
I've
hated it
just
when I did that. I had to do a persuasive essay once, and I wrote it as the Wallflower Social, and it was an extended metaphor of why we should get out and dance on the dance floor and these things, but it was all poetically written in figurative language. And she was like, "This is not correct," and gave me like a D. And I was like, I,
oh
I was not happy with her. Then I had another teacher who like taught me how to play the system, and it was great. But yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I also love the fact that you are writing for the readers and that you're writing for those people who need to hear it. It goes back to what you talked about that you were supposed to help them. Through that process, though, did you find that it helped yourself in any way, shape, or form? Did it help you and in your relationships with those around you?
I would say that's happening more now.
Okay.
Like I feel like I had no idea, I'm just Matt's mom. I don't know any different. He's my only child, so I don't know any different. I get up and I live my life like I would suspect any other mom lives their life. But now, like I always said, I would never be a public speaker. I cannot stand up in front of people. I can't get in front of people. But both of my mentors told me that they could see me to get ready because they're going to see me in doing public speaking once my book was published. I was like, nope, that's not going to happen. But what has happened is this whole book process has helped me gain my confidence because that's funny enough. I've always struggled with confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I can be mama bear, I can go head to toe for my son, but for me, I've pretty much struggled with confidence. But I have felt my own personal growth and being able to speak to something I'm passionate about. And it helps me to be able to speak even bigger and better, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I want to do it. I want more people to hear, look, this is our life. I don't hate it. He doesn't hate it. He's not a burden. This is we have our heart. I've already said that, but it's a great life. Um, and so when I'm speaking, the writing process, it was hard because I had to relive it, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it. So those first chapters were a little bit, I had to take breaks more. But the writing process itself, I don't know that I changed during that. I think it all has been happening after. I feel like I'm just growing and becoming more confident in speaking for this these groups of individuals to the special needs community. I'm just
To
I've
moms in
always been
general.
yeah,
It's okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been an advocate, my son's fiercest advocate, but now I just feel like, you know what? I've got over 3 decades into this journey. I'm, I feel confident about what I can speak to.
That's incredible. We need to introduce Matt. I wanted to hear I love it because he comes to all of the book signings and he gets to sign things and he's basically your co-author on this book. And so tell us a little bit about Matt and his part in all of this process with you.
So this is where I'm going to get authentic. The
Yes.
title of your podcast, I love it. Rants, Raves, and what Roundies? Is
Reviews.
that what it was?
Roundy's
Yeah,
rants, raves, and
reviews.
reviews. Yep,
Yeah,
here we
yeah.
go.
Okay, so I was like, okay, here's my rant.
That's right.
I'm here. Hello.
Yes,
Everybody
please.
loves Matt, but Matt wouldn't be here if it weren't for me. And Matt didn't write my book. I wrote my book. Hello, it's Wendy. I'm here. Hello,
Hi, over
meet
here. Yep, exactly. Yep.
but anyway, that's so that Matt is incredible. He's amazing. Everybody loves Matt. He's got an amazing personality. He's fun. He he's Matt. You know, I'm very proud of Matt. He's exceeded my expectations. He's accomplished things I didn't think he would be able to do. And there wasn't going to be anything he couldn't do. But I did have to accept the things that he changed our goals and stuff had to shift.
Right.
But, you know, there are things that he's not able to do now, but he still has exceeded my expectations and we're still constantly working on things and he does his laundry, he reads, he writes, he does the book signings with me. He loves to, you know, talk to people about himself and Down syndrome and he knows he has Down syndrome and he knows what Down syndrome is, but to him he's just like everybody else,
Right.
only he's cooler. But
He definitely is very confident in who he is. And
yeah,
that's a testament to you and how you raised him for sure.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But he's an adult now. So we are experiencing some changes and some challenges. And I'm in a whole new phase now. I don't know if I need to write a book about,
I was just
you
gonna
know,
say, is there another sequel coming of what it's like this way?
I, I've, I've had the nudge to write about what life's like with an adult. But I also don't want to focus a lot on the heart. My
Right.
whole point is to focus on, you know, the positives and but I also do want to be authentic. You know, we have some challenges and I have to stop and put myself in his shoes and go, okay, wait a minute. I know I'm getting older and I know how I feel physically and mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
He can't express that. So I have to kind of gauge his behaviors and because he's not always happy. He's not always in the best mood. And I have to give him that grace. I
Yeah.
have to just say, okay, guess what? I was in a bad mood yesterday. So I guess it's your turn today, you
Right.
know? And I try to encourage him to express himself as well.
Yeah.
Um, but, you know, we got the health challenges now as he's becoming an adult, and there are things that we're learning about adults with Down syndrome and their health
Mhm.
that we didn't know. So, the last chapter in my book is titled Still on This Journey. And I am definitely learning that I am still on this journey. So,
It doesn't end.
yeah, yeah.
There's definitely things I'm learning as a parent of adult children. It's I think I will relate to that book when you read it just as much as I related to the first one and those stories because I think we're all again on that journey and until we die, we're on this journey.
I know.
So I'm
Well,
just gonna keep going.
my mom used to, I mean, if it was raining, she would call me and make sure I got to work okay. So she's still worried about, even though I was married and off on my own, she's still worried about me. You
Yeah.
know, the difference is that my son is still living with me. And so, you know, I just have that. In other words, parenting never ends, you
No,
know,
it
whether you
doesn't.
move out or not. So it just looks different.
Exactly. It looks different and it feels different, and we're all going through it the first time as well. And
Yeah.
each
Yeah.
kid's still different. It's just, yeah, I love that concept with it. So, with that, is there any message that you would like to leave with our audience? Anything that you want them to come away with and to take with them throughout this?
Basically, my message has just been, if you run into anybody who has Down syndrome, or I would say any differing abilities, they want the same things that we do for the most part. They just want friends. They want to be accepted. They want to be included. There's nothing to be afraid of or intimidated by. And as a mom, I understand when people may not know what to say, or, maybe a little shy. I see the looks on the small children when, my big old man boy, it has a deep, loud voice and can be a little intimidating. So I see the looks on the children, the looks on the parents. They're just people just like the rest of us. And hello, how are you? Just that's what I'm kind of just trying to speak to, is that don't be intimidated, don't be afraid, try to live more like them. That's what I believe my son is here for. I say he's here to teach me, help me with my special needs. And so I, try to be love unconditionally, more forgiving, more accepting. That he's here to help me. And so I just try to live more like my son. So accept my son or these individuals, however you want to look at the population, and try to live more like them. They live. That's the thing about Matt. He lives. I
Hmm.
mean, he jumped out of the car today and he was shaking his booty in the garage. And last night he's watching TV and he's waltzing around the front room.
Oh.
He is literally living like nobody's watching. And, to how would it be to have that freeing mentality, to be able to just live without a worry and without a care of what other people think? So, how's that? All of that. Boom, 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 boom.
I love it. Yes, absolutely. You know, I love that idea of living life more like the children and those that are innocent and those that maybe have these special needs. Sometimes they're living better than we are.
Yeah.
They are not, they don't get hung up on all of what society is trying to tell us to be and what we get on ourselves about. And they just allow themselves to enjoy and live in the moment. And wow, what a powerful message that is for each of us. Not only should we not accept that, we should be more like them. And
Yeah.
so beautiful. Well, where can we find you and your stuff and do as
Um,
we go out to buy your things and
yeah.
follow
So
you?
sorry about that. That was for my reminder for our author group.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, got that too. So, yeah.
um, so yeah, my website's probably the best place to get me. It's wendylhooten.com. I have my books available. Oh, I guess I should. Here's my book.
Yes.
Big
Guys,
people
this
don't be
title
in
is
the park.
love it. So
Oh,
great.
that's an attention grabber. And let's see, did the hair change at all? 90s hair.
Right?
um, yeah. So my website, you can get my books. You can learn about Down syndrome, get more information on Matt and I. Yeah. So it's all there.
And
Connect with us on social media.
connect with her if you need her to come and speak or want her to come speak or
Yeah.
learn more about her. Follow her journey. Sign up for a newsletter too. It's great. Wendy's Words of Wisdom coming out. It's good words to live by. That's what I can see.
Thank you, Tanya. You always wonder who's reading it, if anybody is.
It comes through and I'm like, oh, click. All right, I'm good. It's like just I need those little bits. And I get them from Amy, I get them from you, I get the few. Stan's now got his going out. I'm like, it gives me some uplifting things through the day sometimes. That's great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on Roundy's Rants, Raves, and Reviews. Please check out Wendy and check out your local authors, help them, and we'll check you out next week on Roundy's Rants, Raves, and Reviews. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you.